by the way, it's Supergirl. See? Supergirl.
That's what happens when you touch my stuff.
A Kryptonian girl with blonde hair and a bad attitude. She moved so fast that Lois didn't even know what hit her.
A Kryptonian attacked Lois?
Yeah, right before she came after me. Chloe, not only is she as strong as I am, she can fly.
Whoa. Sounds like we got ourselves a true blue Supergirl.
Kara, Krypton is gone.
What do you mean gone?
It exploded. You and I are the only survivors.
Planets don't just explode, Kral. Guess the humans are right, Kral. Girls do mature faster than boys.
Everybody, Andrew here. This is the last and final part of the very long conversation I had with Danny. Please don't forget to email in and let me know what you thought, and you can do that by emailing supergirlpodcast@gmail.com. I hope you enjoy it. Now let's jump into where we last left off, shall we? Well, let's turn the corner and jump into probably my favorite era of Supergirl, which is really the 2005 Supergirl series. Mm-hmm. And it really starts in Superman Batman number 8 through 13. Really done her origin story. We talked a lot about that when we talked about Superman Batman Apocalypse. What do you like or dislike most about the 2005 Supergirl series that went from 2005 to 2011?
Well, I mean, it was pretty straightforward, right? So basically, she crash landed to Earth. She's Superman's cousin, and she's just trying to find her own identity in the universe. So it's a very simplistic story, especially when you come from Peter David's story. So I didn't mind that. And like I said, there were some things I liked about it, some things I didn't like about it. I mean, especially if I compare it to the New 52, for example, I felt that Jeff Loeb's Supergirl was a little more naive, a little more flirtatious, a little more outgoing. You know, I mean, she's a typical teenager, right? Is basically what she was. So, right. Which is fine. I mean, that's what they were going for. And obviously, then it comes back down to the outfit as well, too. I mean, a lot of people like the outfit. I don't mind it, but I mean, in reality, it wasn't really all that original. It was simply just like a little schoolgirl outfit, is what it was. So I liked it, but I much prefer the New 52 Supergirl outfit more because I think it's more original. There's more to it, and means a lot more than that one, I believe. Yeah. So. But, no, I mean, I don't mind. Like I said, I've read about the first 10 or so issues of Jeff Loeb's Supergirl, and I liked it. It wasn't too bad. Like I said, there's contrast differences between the new modern-day Supergirl. So it's just a little bit different, that's all. But, I mean, it's a very simplistic story. You know, and she's just trying to find her identity and trying to get, you know, Superman off her back and that sort of thing. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really didn't come on to the Supergirl title until well into the World of New Krypton series was going on. I came on to the Supergirl title at issue 44, right in the midst of all that big crossover event all the Superman books were doing. So there was World of New Krypton, there was Superman, there was Action Comics, there was all that stuff.
Right.
But really, I really didn't get introduced to this version of Kara's character until I picked up Superman, Batman, Supergirl, the trade paperback, and really got invested in this character of Kara. Really, where I fell in love with her as a character.
Yeah.
And that's why this is probably my favorite series. I'm still there. I mean, there's still holes in my collection I've yet to fill. I mean, there are like 20 or so issues I've still left to collect.
Yeah.
There's a comic book store about an hour north of me, unfortunately.
Wow.
I live in that. I live, Danny, that rural of a place where I have to drive an hour north of where I live in Central Maine to get to the nearest comic book store. It's just,
that was the case. I think eBay would be my best friend.
Yeah, yeah. And I haven't bought any comic books on eBay, but when I do go up to those places, I normally stop. And when I go down and visit my buddy down in New Hampshire, I always stop down there.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's just nothing here.
Well, I mean, another thing I just want to bring up too, and I think I mentioned this before about this series of Supergirl. I mean, it started off pretty well, but I think it was after, I can't remember which issue, maybe after 12 or 13. It didn't seem like there was, correct me if I'm wrong, but there didn't seem to be an artist that was a regular artist on the book. It seemed like it had a different artist almost every week or something.
You're absolutely right. There was always a rotating staff of artists, and that irked me for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And then when Sterling Gates really took control of the book and ran with it up until the series ended with issue like 67, I think it was. That was probably my favorite run or writer on a Supergirl series. Sterling Gates and Jamal Igle. They really grasped her character, and I really love what they did with Kara's character. And the artist was solid. It was a constant flow. It was later on in the series, but it was still great. I can't remember when they took over the book, but no, you're right. From issue like 12 on to through the middle part of that series, it was a rotating staff. Issue 12 is probably my least favorite book as far as artists. The art looks cartoony. It looks awful.
Yeah.
One of the worst Supergirl books I've read.
Wow, really?
To date, it was just bad, and I haven't gotten there yet in my reviewing on my show. But when I will, I'm going to probably tear that book to pieces. Unfortunately. Well,
I mean, kind of the thing that kind of turns me off is not the fact that, I mean, yes, you have the problem with obviously the rotating staff of artists, but I found that sometimes they had not just a rotating staff of artists and different artists every month, but you even have different artists on the covers as well too.
Yeah,
so you have one artist on the cover and then a different artist inside the book. I mean, that just, I don't know. The thing is, comic books is our visual medium, and consistency, I think, is important. I think in a comic book series, especially if you want to attract and keep viewers and keep readers, not viewers, readers. Yeah. So that's one thing I kind of really, like you were saying, irked me, and that did irk me a lot, just because there was nothing really consistent in the artwork a lot, and then just because that's the first thing you look at, it kind of turned me off a little bit.
Sure.
And that's one thing I liked about this new 52. At least it's consistent, it's straightforward, there's no, they'll get some guest artists once in a while, that's fine. But for the most part, it's one or two people and that's it. So.
Now, do you have a favorite cover artist in general? Or no, not really?
Not really. I mean, it probably have to go back down to Mahmoud Asrar again. I mean, he's just a fantastic artist, and I mean, he even did some covers. I think toward the end of the Jeff Loeb series or the 2000 series. Yeah. He even did a few covers, I believe, at the end of that series as well too, that were pretty good. So, I mean, and then that's one thing that kind of just want to go back there for a second. I mean, I remember some covers where you had, Kara with long flowing blonde hair, and then some covers you had kind of short blonde hair, and it's just that I don't know, it just didn't make any sense in that sense, but. Sure. I'd say Mahmoud Asrar for sure. He's probably my favorite artist, I think, among all the series for our work. Yeah.
I don't really have a favorite cover artist. In general, one thing that really bothers me. I mean, I'm a big Superman fan myself.
Right.
Gary Frank, and the way he draws Superman, he draws him like Chris Reeve. Which is actually really kind of creepy, because Chris Reeve has been deceased now for quite a while, Oh. And for me, I mean, it's just a creepy way to draw Superman. I don't know how you feel on that.
I haven't read too many Superman titles. I've been, here and there, but I can't really pinpoint which ones Gary Frank has done. But which series did Gary Frank do exactly? Which Superman series?
He did a lot of World of New Krypton. He actually did Superman Secret Origins. He did all of the artwork on there. I don't know if you've read any of that.
Because he's actually the artist on the Peter David series.
Oh, really?
The 2000 from the 90s, yeah.
Is he getting good, or?
Well, it's pretty good. That's one thing I did notice. I mean, like I said, the Peter David stories are very weird, but I mean, the artwork's actually been very, very good.
Does he do the covers, or does he do the interiors?
No, as far as I know, he does everything. He does the covers too.
Does everything? Wow.
Yeah.
I've actually never seen him draw Supergirl. I wouldn't know how it looks.
No, they look pretty good. I mean, if you get a chance to check them out, but they turn out pretty well.
Very good.
They do.
Very good. Yeah. Well, we're going to jump next into your favorite, probably era of Kara's character, which is the New 52.
Ooh.
What do you like about this series the most?
I just love that. I think the one thing I keep using, and all my reviews I've done for the New 52 books, is emotion. And from the very start of the series right to now, I mean, the writing team and the artists have given Kara so much emotion and so much to fight up against. It's just they make you really feel for her, is what it is, and it's so much compassion for her. And the writing has been superb. I mean, I keep going back to the artist, but the writing on this book has been absolutely spectacular, because not only do they do a great job with Kara, and when I say by good job, I mean just the words that they choose in the script that they write in this book are basically kind of things that you and I would, for example, would think of or be saying at that exact moment in time. So
sure.
Because of that, they make it much, much more relatable. And like I said, you really feel for this character, and not only do they really do a great job with this character, but they do a spectacular job, I think, with the villains as well, too. Then the antagonists that Kara has to go up against. So, for example, like Rain of the World Killers. I mean, she was a real badass. And toward, when she was hit New York and she was just messing around with the cops and all that stuff and the army people. And, she was just the words that she was saying in her dialogue and the script that they gave her was just amazing. And, like I said, it goes back down to the writing staff, and they really build up these characters so very well.
Yeah.
So I think between building up the characters so well, and a great story, and the artwork's superb. I mean, it's a total package. I mean, the only thing is, I mean, like anything else, it's not perfect, and there are a few things I wish they had done a little bit differently. But all in all, it's a complete package, and it's by far, I think, the best super book coming out of the New 52 for sure.
I would agree with you. This title is really the only New 52 title besides Earth 2 that I'm currently reading.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've just been so put off by a lot because I'm such a big Superman fan. I'm also a big Supergirl fan, but Superman has been my mainstay for quite a long time, since 2001. Okay. When Smallville came out, that's when I really turned into a really big Superman fan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I really got an interest for this character. And when they decided to reboot Action Comics and bring Grant Morrison in to write it, I'm just not a huge Grant Morrison fan. I don't like what he did with Batman.
Okay.
I don't like what they decided to do with character of Superman, the costume look, the whole rebooting Action Comics. I mean, it was up to 900. I mean, and there was really no reason to reboot Action at that point. I realized they want to bring a lot of new fans on, but you don't start with an iconic Action Comics #1 back in 1939 and just redecide to make a brand new Action Comics #1. I had a real problem with that.
Okay.
I'm just not reading a lot of the new super books. A, I don't have the money. B, there's really not a lot that interests me in the New 52 besides Supergirl. But you are right. The writing is for this Supergirl title is just absolutely phenomenal. I have not seen writing like this in a very, very long time.
Yeah, no, absolutely right.
Mike Green and Mike Johnson are doing a phenomenal job on this title. There hasn't story-wise, there hasn't been a bad story yet. Which, I mean, it feels like I'm reading an episode of a television show every single month. You know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, absolutely, yeah, for sure.
But,
no, I mean, they are doing a spectacular job. I mean, like I said, because they make you really feel for the character. I mean, even so much, I remember, I think it was Superman issue number 6, I think, when Kara actually did a crossover on Superman's book. I'm not sure if you read this one. But in the issue, I mean, Supergirl just basically gets her ass kicked by Superman in every single panel, it seemed. And she was just getting pummeled. And after I read the book, I was so disgusted with it because it really pissed me off.
Yeah.
It's like they just crossed her over in this book just to get her ass kicked.
Yeah.
You know, like the whole point of it was to talk to Superman about Superboy and about all that stuff, and there was no mention of it anywhere in the book. And all she was there was used like a punching bag, and that really pissed me off. And like I said, that goes back to the writing of the Supergirl books. You know, Mike Johnson, Michael Green, because they're doing such a great job. I feel so much for that character that when I see something like that, it pisses me off.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Actually, it was your review that completely turned me off from all the other Superman titles. It didn't even make me want to pick them up and read them.
Yeah.
It was just that much of an impression.
Well, good. I'm glad. And like I said, I mean, it just really irked me. And this is probably the first Superman book I picked up since, I think, issue number 2 or 3 of Superman. After that, I kind of got turned off of Superman. But I picked up this one because Kara was in it. But yeah, when I just got so very annoyed by that issue, I was so disgusted with it. And I know even Superboy number 6 that she did crossover on that. And just back to what we were saying about the artwork, and you know, this goes back to Mahmoud Asrar and how what a great job he's doing on the book as well too. I think Superboy number 6, it was R.B. Silva that was doing the artwork, and I really did not like the way he was drawing Supergirl in this book at all. I mean, it just seems like, I don't know, like he draws a lot of squares and stuff like that. It just didn't look right. And it's kind of interesting because R.B. Silva, actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he do a lot of artwork in the previous Supergirl series from the 2000s, I believe?
Probably. I'm not really sure.
Okay. But I think he did at least some covers. I know that he's done for Supergirl during the Jeff Loeb run. But like I said, I didn't really like the artwork that he did with this one here. But like I said, it goes back to Mahmoud Asrar, and because he's such a great artist, and I guess maybe he's also had more practice drawing this Supergirl. Yeah. You know, he does a fantastic job with it.
Now, what's your take on Silver Banshee, bringing her into this Supergirl title, where I don't even think I can pronounce her name right. Do you?
Siobhan? Siobhan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has a B in the name, but it really. I mean,
think it's pronounced as V or
the way I've heard it pronounced, it's Siobhan with a V and not a B. I mean, now that you say that rings a bell in my head.
Yeah.
What's your take on her character in this Supergirl title?
I don't mind. I actually like it. I mean, I like the fact that Kara came and she basically met a new friend that can speak Kryptonian, which is kind of interesting. And I really loved the fact that she had that power of languages. I'm not sure if that was a skill or a power that she had in previous incarnations of Silver Banshee. I'm not 100% sure.
I've actually never heard of Silver Banshee being able to do that.
Yeah, me neither.
I've seen Silver Banshee in stories where she's just a raging monster that just screams all the time.
Yep, exactly.
But it was very interesting seeing Siobhan befriend Kara, and Kara actually being able to trust Siobhan.
Yeah.
And up until that point, Kara hadn't been able to trust anybody, not even supposedly her own cousin, who was from the same place of birth that she was.
Yeah.
You know?
No, you're right. Yeah, for sure. And no, I mean, like I said, I like the fact that she was in that they became friends and all that stuff. One of the only things, and I mentioned this before, like how I was saying how there was just a few things about the series I didn't like they could have done differently. This is one of those things. I think they could have really developed that friendship a little bit more before having Black Banshee come in and kind of ruin everything. I think they just maybe should have at least taken that whole issue and just have them be friends and do things and sort of build that relationship before you kind of tear it down. I mean, that's one thing. And I've mentioned this in my reviews. One thing I've kind of taken away from this series that I wish they would do a little bit differently. Sort of just slow it down a bit. I mean, it's been so action packed and so fast that Kara, I don't think, has had a really big opportunity to sort of develop a lot of the relationships around her with other people and other characters. So I just wish it would sort of slow it down a bit and let her just discover her friendships and her enemies and that sort of thing on that part of it. I mean, just another perfect example. I think it was issue number 6 when Kara was on Argo City, thanks to Rain. And this is nothing kind of bugged me. I don't know if you remember this part, but to get off the planet, I mean, she took off the knife and, with the help of her parents and her strength of her parents. But, I mean, I remember at the end of issue 5, I was thinking, how the hell is she going to get off the planet if she doesn't have a crystal anymore to open that portal?
Right.
And as soon as, she got off the planet, and sure enough, the portal was still open. It's like, okay, that was kind of an easy answer.
Yeah.
Here I'm thinking, how's she going to do it the whole month, and then just to find out, like, in a panel or a page, like, it was still open. It's like, okay.
Well, that and coming back to, like, issue, I think, 4 or 5, when she actually flew to Argo City, I mean, that kind of bothered me, only because, for one, she shouldn't be able to hold her breath that long. I mean, I understand she's got super lungs and everything, but, I mean, as soon as she leaves Earth's atmosphere, technically she should lose her powers because of not absorbing any yellow sun rays.
Right.
I mean, you didn't really have a problem with that at all?
Well,
or?
I mean, I assume that when she left the planet, I mean, obviously the sun is still there, right? So basically she just flew a bit far. I'm not sure how far she flew away from Earth or from the sun, but I mean, the sun's pretty big, and I'm sure she can still feel its power from a good distance away. So I'm assuming she was still connected to the sun before when she went through the portal. And then when she got through the portal, she's on the other side, but I'm presuming that she could still keep some of that, I don't know, like a generator basically, but she still has some of that power inside of her, even though there was no yellow sun around there. And that's how she was able to sort of fly there and fly back. But, I mean, what kind of really bugged me is just it was such an easy answer to be able to get off the planet, because the portal was still open. But not to mention, and just go back to what I was saying before, how they could have taken their time and slowed down a bit. But it would have really been great to see, I think, that because Kara's on Argo City, and she's not going to be there every day, it's basically going to crash into a blue star, they could have taken at least 1 or 2 issues even, have Kara kind of, going around Argo City, kind of remembering her flashbacks of her youth, of her friends, of her family, of adventures and stuff like that, just sort of get a better idea of who she is. And I think by doing that, they could have made her a lot more relatable and a lot more endearing. And then, before it crashed the blue sun, she could have somehow escaped into the, through a portal back to Earth and stop Rain. But, that's one thing I just had an issue with it.
Do you believe they missed a big opportunity not having Argo City still exist?
No, I don't. I think, the fact that it's gone it's fine. I just wish that she had more time to sort of stay there and we learn more about her while she was there. That's all. But no, the fact that it's gone, I'm fine with that. But I just wish that they had done a little more with it between just, her being there, crashing, and then taking off. That's all. They could have done more. That's what I'm saying. They could have done more with it.
Now, we've talked before, and at the end of issue 1 of Supergirl, Superman shows up, and you have a problem with that, and I'd be curious to know what your problem with that is.
I just, and this is how much I love this character so much. I didn't think that she needed Superman to sort of help her sell comic books. I didn't think that she needed Superman to sort of be there to help her through anything. I would have loved to see her kind of figure things out on her own rather than having help from her cousin. Like, I'm not saying they shouldn't meet later on down the road, but I think it was just way too early at the end of the first issue. It just kind of really annoyed me because it seemed like the company just didn't have enough respect for Supergirl to be able to sell her own comic books, so they needed to put Superman in there to help her with it. So that's just my issue with it, and that kind of really bugged me. So that's why I don't like it too much.
Well, what I find interesting is in issue 2, she really doesn't even want to listen to Superman at all. She doesn't want to even bother to hear what he has to say, or believe, or give anything.
Sure.
To you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I honestly liked the fact that she kind of didn't believe him, because, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if it was you or me in that position, you know, you're supposed to, you know, this person's supposed to be a baby, not a full-grown man. Would you believe what he's telling you? I mean, for all you know, it could be a trap, it could be anything, right? So right. I like the fact that she is not as naive as, say, the Jeff Loeb Supergirl. And this kind of goes back to Jeff Loeb Supergirl, where she's a little bit more naive, where this one is, you know, forget that, I'm not going to believe you, and they start fighting. And I like that about her, and that's, once again, goes back to writing, that just sort of gives her her own place, her own identity, if you may.
I'll be interested to see what her relationship with Kal-El develops into. That's one aspect of Kara's character that I like the most, is her relationship with Kal, aka Superman, obviously. But you know, and see them fighting side by side. I find it very interesting that she decides to defend New York instead of being in the city like Metropolis. I mean, I understand why she's there. She wants to form her own identity from away from Superman. But I just find it interesting because Metropolis is, as well, Supergirl's mainstay in other continuities. But I mean, that goes back to a new continuity, a new everything for this character. I just find it interesting that it's New York instead of some other big city.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really didn't mind the fact that it was New York. I mean, I know what you're saying about Metropolis being kind of her city as well, too, but I think by being in New York, because it gives her her own little identity and her own place in the DC universe. So yeah, I'm not sure if she's going to stay there or if she will move to Metropolis eventually. I'm not sure, but no, I really have no problem with her being there. And I think back to what you were saying about her and Superman, I think in the next few issues, I think when I was reading an interview that the writer did with Newsarama a few days ago, they're supposed to meet again, I think, next couple of issues. So it'd be kind of interesting to see what happens.
I'll be interested to see. I mean, now that we know that Kara's discovered that he wasn't lying, that he really is her cousin, but older, I'll be interested to see what kind of relationship develops between Kara and Clark.
Yeah,
in that whole dynamic between those two.
Yeah,
and technically, Kara is probably older than Clark in like Kryptonian years. I mean, she's got way more fighting experience as far as being trained. I mean, we've seen her train in Argo City, so she knows how to. I mean, she was trained by some military dude, I guess.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, she looks like she had a lot more training than Kal-El, who was obviously raised on Earth. So, no, I mean, I think she'd be a much better fighter than Clark would be. But yeah, who knows? We'll see what happens, I guess.
We shall see.
But back to what we were saying about Silver Banshee, and I just want to bring this up. I mentioned this in my reviews. I think in the past couple of episodes, I can't remember which one it was, but I also predicted that in the next issue or the next two issues that apparently Supergirl is supposed to be learning. She's supposed to develop a new power, and I predicted that this new power is actually going to be her ability to learn languages from Siobhan.
Interesting.
So, I'm not sure how she's going to. She's probably going to get it from Black Banshee or from Siobhan, but somehow I think that is how she's going to learn English.
Well, as we remember, at the end of issue 9, she flew right into Black Banshee.
Right.
I'm wondering how she's actually going to escape that.
That'll be interesting.
It will be interesting.
It's really interesting. And I also mentioned... Sorry, go ahead.
Please.
Oh, I was going to say, too, that I mentioned this in my last review, but I think it would be kind of great to see that while she's in that alternate reality that the Black Banshee creates for her, that she doesn't have her powers, that she's got to kind of work on with her wits and with her abilities to sort of get herself out of it rather than rely on her powers, because I think that would kind of give her a new dimension to her character than anything else. So, have
we seen Kara fully developed? Have we seen all her Kryptonian powers?
I don't think so. Like I said, I think she's still going to get that ability of languages. I think she's still going to get that next couple issues. Besides that, I'm not sure if the writer's going to give her anything else in the future. But I mean, obviously, I think she's developed a few new powers. Like I said, she's developed a new power of being able to heat up her body like a sun. I don't remember ever seeing that in any of the other Supergirl incarnations from the past. But just that ability to be able to heat up her body like a sun and then sort of explode in a big blast like that. I've never really seen that before. And then hopefully, maybe if I'm correct, the power of languages which would be really, really cool too.
Yeah. But I mean, we've seen like freeze breath, X-ray vision, heat vision, obviously, flight, super speed. We've seen all that, so I'll be interested to see what the writers are going to do if they decide to give her these new powers. I mean, but it can't be so out of the ordinary that it wouldn't make sense, you know?
No, I don't think so. I mean, and like I said, I mean, the thing is that she doesn't know English yet, and apparently the next couple issues, I think the one after this one, she's supposed to be on her first date. So I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm assuming that she'll have to learn English to be able to go on a date, and this would be the quickest way of learning English. So
yeah, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, it'd be kind of interesting to see what happens there too. But I can't imagine there's too many Kryptonian bachelors around New York City. So.
I don't believe so, and it'd be kind of weird for Kara to be going out
maybe
with
a Kryptonian singles bar or something. Who knows?
Maybe. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Black Banshee is a completely new character to this DC continuity. I've never heard of him ever before.
Nor have I. I've never heard of him or seen him before. I mean, it's not to say he hasn't existed in some way or another, but I've never seen him before.
Yeah.
But I mean, he might have maybe existed in some other form, but I've never heard of him before. No.
Well, let me quickly. Mr. Google will tell us.
Good old Google. Actually, while you're doing that, I want to ask you, what are your opinions on Superboy? I'm not sure if you mentioned Superman, but what about Superboy?
Superboy, he's actually one of, because I've really come to like Superboy as a character because of Young Justice. His character in Young Justice is phenomenal. I've really enjoyed his character. Superboy first came into the comics in the 90s as a result of Reign of the Supermen. And I really haven't read a lot of Superboy, but I've liked what I've seen. I've learned a lot about his character from Young Justice, but I don't know much about him. I know he's a clone. I know he doesn't have all of Superman's powers at first.
Okay.
I mean, the Cadmus people give him what's called tactile telekinesis, which is basically he can float via, or he can fly via telekinesis instead of flying by like normal means.
Okay.
But
nice.
That's really the only way I know. That's really all I know about Superboy. I haven't been a huge fan for a long time, but since Young Justice came out, I've been a fan of Superboy. So
okay, nice.
I'm curious to know what your history with the character Superboy is.
Not much. I mean, I haven't really read any of Superboy before. I mean, obviously I knew of him. I've seen him on Smallville as well too. So I think he had a brief role on Smallville. But besides that, not really much. I did pick up Superboy number 6 because Supergirl was in it.
Sure.
And that's my first Superboy book I think I've ever really picked up. It was okay. I mean, I wasn't too crazy about the artwork of R.B. Silva. It's just he just seems to draw such weird. I mean, he's not very consistent either. Like one panel he might have it one way, another panel might have another. So it just kind of really irked me that way. But I don't know. Like I said, it was kind of easy enough in the fact that I picked up issue number 6. I kind of already, after a few pages, I kind of already knew what was going on already, and I kind of just carried on from there. So it wasn't really hard to follow. But no, I mean, I didn't think any which way about it. It was okay. Like I said, the only reason why I picked up was because Supergirl was in it. But it didn't really, it didn't really make me want to pick up any other issues, though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you think Kara overreacted a little with Superboy at all in that issue? I
think so, maybe, because I basically, as far as I remember, she basically thought he was some sort of abomination from Krypton,
right.
And I guess she was thinking that she would have to protect the planet or something from him, from his destruction. So that's why she did what she did. I guess she did overreact a little bit. I mean, she just seemed kind of a little hot-headed, I guess you could say sometimes. I agree, she's a little hot-headed, but that's what I love about her. But, no, but at the same time, I mean, with everything she's already been through, I mean, it's kind of understandable, right? I mean, she's gone through so much where she can't trust anybody, you know, and look what Simon Tycho did to her in the World Killers, and she saw her father being shot, her planet was destroyed. I mean, you know, I'm surprised she hasn't gone more psychotic than that, so... but no, like I said, I think she maybe overreacted a little bit, but it was understandable.
I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't seen Simon come back, you know? Yeah.
Well, I think soon enough. I think this arc with Silver Banshee was supposed to end, I think, with the next issue, issue number 10. I think that's the end of it. And then they'll start a new arc in number 11. So who knows, maybe he'll be back by then.
Hopefully. You never know.
But, no, it'll be interesting to see what happens to him. I know the last time we saw he was basically being absorbed by that little blob creature of his.
Yeah.
So.
Well, what I'm wondering if he's going to be like her Lex Luthor.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. I mean, he's rich, he's young, he has a lot of power. So yeah, I could definitely see that. So that'd be kind of interesting to see that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. See what happens.
In answer to your question, Black Banshee is a character created by Mike Green himself. So this is a completely new character made for this new DC universe.
Nice.
So,
okay. That's what I figured. And I thought it was really cool too. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I mean, the writers did a great job of sort of keeping that Irish accent so consistent in every.
Oh yeah, I know. I could hear the Irish accent in my head.
Yeah. No kidding.
Because I listen to. We were talking before the show. I listened to a lot of pen and audio dramas, and they brought Silver Banshee into those audio dramas and had a distinct Irish accent, very very cool sounding, and that's the voice I actually hear in my head when I read that character's lines, which is really kind of neat. So,
what do you think of the look of Shaban? I know it's obviously Silver Banshee is obviously a lot different than how it used to be before.
I actually really liked the look of both characters. I really liked the look of Silver Banshee. I thought she was slick. She looked pretty awesome.
Yeah, she did. Yep.
And something tells me, I mean, she could turn into a hero. You never do know. I mean,
I think
obviously she was a Superman villain. I don't know if they're going to take that character and completely twist her into being like Kara's best friend type / helper whenever she might need her. I don't really know. I mean, we don't really know much of Siobhan's backstory, unfortunately. But I mean, I'm sure we'll see that relationship develop later on when we get into the series. Yeah, definitely. Well, I think she's going to be. I still think she's going to be a villain, but she's going to be very conflicted. I think, and you kind of got glimpses of her evil side in the last issue when she was kind of enjoying throwing cars around and under destruction and stuff like that. She kind of enjoyed that. I think told Kara to back off a few times and stuff like that. So she's gonna be very conflicted, I think. She's gonna have that good and evil inside of her. So she's, it could go either way. But I think as long as that bad side evil side is still gonna be in her, I still think she's gonna be a villain, but be very, very conflicted though. Yeah. So, but it'll be interesting to see what happens though. Well, she could be one of those like good as far as human, but bad when she turns into the Banshee.
Yeah, it's true too. Yeah.
So I mean, we could see that. We're just not sure. But I'm encouraged. I like what I see when it comes to Silver Banshee.
No, me too. For sure.
She's not just a raging monster from the Black Lagoon.
Yep.
I mean, she actually has layers to her character, and she has a history because we saw a flashback with her brother being taken by Black Banshee and doing whatever so his mother and Siobhan could escape.
Right.
So.
No, absolutely. I mean, and that's one thing. Kind of goes back to the writers of the book. I mean, I just love the fact that they give you these flashbacks at the beginning, and we saw Kara's obviously in a few books in the first arc, and now we're seeing kind of Siobhan's a little bit too. And I think in the next issue, we're going to see a little bit more of Kara's as well too, back in Argo City. So it's really, that's one thing I love about these writers. They do give you kind of a flashback as to how they used to be, or how their lives used to be before compared to now. So it's great to see that kind of backstory and kind of see where they came from.
Definitely. Do you think we'll ever see Zor-El and Allura again?
Yes, but probably just in flashbacks. I think so. And apparently I was reading also in that Newsarama interview where apparently we're supposed to find out who shot Kara's father. Ooh. I think next couple issues. So stay tuned for that too. It should be exciting.
Interesting. Yeah, that should be really good. Yeah. Well, I think that's gonna do it for us, Danny. Unless you had something more to add.
No, pretty much. I think we covered a lot of stuff today. I think we covered everything today. So,
I think so, my friend. I think so. Tell us again where we can find you on the web, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, for sure. You can catch the website at Kara Zor-el, so it's spelled just like the name, KARAZOR-EL.com. That's the website. Also the podcast, so it's a weekly podcast. It's called the Kara Zor-el Podcast. So it's weekly. Catch anytime on iTunes as well on the website. And I'm also on the Twitter at Kara Zor-el, all one word, because Twitter doesn't let you have dashes. So all one word, Kara Zor-el on Twitter as well too. And I do tweet a lot of updates to the website, a lot of updates to the podcast, and just good old fashioned fun stuff for Supergirl and the cosplay pictures and stuff like that too.
Awesome. Well, I know for myself, I really enjoy what you're doing with the website and with your show. It's just great content, and I would encourage my listeners to check you out. You put out a lot of great content on the web. And
thanks, Andrew, and I really appreciate it. I really enjoy your site too and your podcast. You can never have enough voices, I think, out there for Supergirl, and just give Kara as much love as possible. I think is an important thing. So.
I would agree with you, my friend. And us Supergirl podcasters need to stick together. So.
Yeah, for sure, man. Of course, there's only the two of us now, and we have to stick together.
That's right. And I think it's really cool that you're actually covering the Peter David stuff.
Yeah.
Is that something you could pick up on Comixology or?
And unfortunately, no. I did check on Comixology, but they only had, I think, maybe 1 or 2 issues, and I think it was one of them was the 1 millionth issue or something. It was something ridiculous.
That's such a bummer.
So no, but I did, however, like I said, when I first started the Peter David series, I didn't really realize it, but I actually only had the first 4 issues of the Peter David series. So it only gave me like a month of content.
Yeah.
So I actually had to go on the eBay and purchased someone was actually selling the whole entire series minus 1 issue of the Peter David Supergirl series run. So I actually purchased all that. So it should be coming this week. So I'll hopefully have tons of content for months to come now.
Very good.
Yeah. Excited about that.
Yeah, very good. Well, I'd like to thank you so much, Danny, for coming on, and
thank you, man.
I hope you'll come back.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime. Just say the word.
Will do. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Krypton's Last Daughter, a Supergirl podcast. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you sometime next month. You have been listening to Krypton's Last Daughter, a Supergirl podcast, hosted by me, Andrew Pinkham. Supergirl, as well as all other characters I talk about on the show, as well as any music I use, are copyright their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended. The website for this show is supergirlpodcast.wordpress.com, where you will find the RSS feed, the podcast, the iTunes link, and a whole lot more. The email is supergirlpodcast@gmail.com. And let's face it, guys, I love lots of emails, so don't be afraid to write in, alright? You can also like the Facebook page. Just type Krypton's Last Daughter into Facebook, or check out the website for more details. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'm at KLD Podcast. And if you would, as a huge favor to me, and leave an iTunes review, I would really appreciate it, and I'd give you a shout out on the show. That's a personal guarantee from me. The opening theme, The Rule, as well as other original music, is written and produced by Kevin McLeod. Supergirl is created by Otto and now Plastino. Thank you for listening, and come back every month for Krypton's Last Daughter, a Supergirl podcast.
To be honest,
I'm not sure I've earned the right to wear this uniform, but I will.